real wealth, real life, economic empowerment, real tips, insight on the new Black Wall Street. It's on the new Black Wall Street. He's your host.
All right, my beautiful people, this is ERGJ, New Black Wall Street here, your certified financial educator. Tonight we're going to be talking about what millennials need to know to retire rich, man. What millennials need to know to retire rich. And so I figured tonight, I really want to talk about Netflix, but this is what I told you guys I was going to talk about tonight. Just a few concepts that you need to understand as it relates to with you and retirement, and what you need to be, a few concepts you need to understand in order to get there. I think there's obviously been a real break in what we need to know, what we should know about money versus what we do know. So hopefully tonight I'll be able to just share a couple things with you guys that'll help you to really understand, these simple concepts. And I don't want to say just simple because they may be simple to me just because I've been studying this stuff for a while. I've been reading up on this stuff, and it may be new to you. It may be a new concept to you, but at the end of the day, these are things that I teach the youth, and I want to make sure that you know them as well. And so as you think about your financial future, there's one concept over all others that you should understand, and that concept is compound interest. That concept is compound interest. That is a concept that Albert Einstein termed as the eighth wonder of the world. He said that there was, he spoke very highly about the concept of compound interest. And the thing is, guys, is that many of us have compound interest working against us versus for us. And so you either earn it or you pay it. That's a decision that we make. But unfortunately, we've, in our community, we've learned how to pay it. We've never learned how to earn it. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about tonight, is the power of compound interest. Now, compound interest is what you use to leverage your young age and gives you time and puts time on your side, So what we're going to be talking about tonight is this simple concept of compound interest. The time is one guaranteed advantage that any investor could take. So basically, when it comes to investing, when it comes to growing wealth, building wealth, when it comes to retiring rich, it's all about putting a seed or a percentage of your money somewhere where it can grow over time. So that's why they compare it a lot to a tree. If you think about an oak tree or something like that, it was a seed that was planted in the ground, and that oak tree grew to 100 miles in the air. But how long did it take before it was 100? That tall or that big or that vast and had that many leaves on it. And so I think in our community, what happens is we get caught up in short-term thinking so much. Like even when it comes to investing, right? Everybody wants to make the quick dollar because we've learned how to hustle. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, with even having that as a portion of your strategy if you're going to be a day trader or a Forex trader as well. But here's the one concept that my grandfather and my grandparents taught me. And it's one concept I think everybody can understand, is that the tortoise beats the hare every time. You remember that story, tortoise and the hare? The tortoise beats the hare every time. And so I'm going to show to you tonight how that actually is true and how you actually be able to test it from a financial, from a monetary, from a tangible standpoint, that the tortoise beats the hare every time. Number one, if you become a trader, if that's what your goal is, your desire, nothing wrong with that. Just know that you're going to pay more in trading costs. You're going to pay more in fees. So you have to be able to overcome that with being such a great trader that you can actually evolve. You can offset what it's going to cost for you to trade. I don't want to get into too much of that because many of you guys that are watching tonight don't even, may not be at that level yet. But the power of compound interest, this is such a simple concept that I teach second graders to, and they begin to understand it, and that's why I teach kids. So I have a couple different programs, adult vest and kid vest, and that's what I'm focusing on this year. Teaching adults how to invest, teaching kids how to invest. And I know that the kids will probably catch on quicker than the adults because their minds haven't been poisoned with programming over the years. That's the one thing that we have to get over. And the kids are not scared to learn. They actually like to learn. They actually like to learn something that no one else is going to teach them. And that's about investing. Hey, what's going on, Anthony? Thanks so much for tuning in, man. I don't know what that is. That sounds like a tweet or something. I don't even tweet. Oh, I don't want to watch this. What's that? Anyway, so the power of compound interest, from an investing standpoint, the biggest thing on your side is time. So everybody in the comments put the word time. The biggest thing that's on your side is time. So even if you never decide that you want to invest in the stock market like I do, you still are investing in the stock market when you get a 401k or a TSP or IRA. There's no way around it. It's just a matter of if you're going to learn it and you're going to benefit from it and make it work for you. You are still investing in the market. The only difference is you're not educated about what you're doing. You don't understand what it is that you're doing. So it's very hard to be successful in something that you don't understand. You're basically flipping a coin and saying, hey, I'm going to put my financial success in someone else's hands, and I'm going to hope and pray that they do the right thing with my money. Well, how much better would it be if you understood your money and you took control of your very own money? Okay, I'm gonna have to turn this off because I don't know, what that is. So even the oldest millennials have 30 years until they reach a traditional retirement age, and that means your money has time to sit and grow. So if you are around my age, you probably in the 30s, maybe an older millennial will probably be 30, 35 or something like that. So even if you're that age, you still have time to build your net worth so that you can retire rich. You still probably got about 30 years of working available to you. And then you might even, you might retire from the job, but still find something that you like to do that's going to be able to make you some money. So the power of time can be found in the concept known as compound interest, which is essentially means that the money you initially invest will grow over time, but so will the money you make in the meantime. The longer money has to percolate and generate returns, the more money you will have when you retire or decide to buy a house or whatever you plan to do with your money. So we're really talking about letting time be on my side. So Anthony, you said that you're going to do more long-term investing. So, a strategy could be where you say, hey, here's how I look at it. Here is the capital, the piece of my pie that I have set for 30 years from now, 40 years from now, right? But I might have a smaller piece that I'm playing around with now that I'm doing, I'm taking some more risk and I'm doing some other things with, but I'm not really touching this stuff that I'm projecting 10, 20 years from now. So everybody in the comments, what I want to know is, have you thought about your life 30 years from now? Have you thought about, when I'm particularly talking about your financial life, have you even given it any concept in your brain, in your imagination, where will I be financially 30 years from now? I want you to take a moment to think about that. If I keep doing what I'm doing now, where will I be financially 30 years from now? That right there could be a sobering moment. And that right there, that one thought could be the one thing that changes your life tonight. If I keep doing what I'm doing right now, where will my life be financially 30 years from now? I might not even have to finish the rest of this live broadcast because that right there could have opened some people's eyes. Where will I be? Where will I be financially? Where will my family be financially 30 years from now if I keep doing what I've been doing? If I keep spending all of my money on the concerts, if I keep spending all of my money in the club, if I keep spending all my money on cigarettes, if I keep spending all my money on lottery tickets, where will my life be 30 years from now financially? And will it be where I want it to be, wherever that is for you? So here's the deal, man. I know that I asked a question earlier. I asked you guys, what's keeping you from investing? A lot of people said fear. A lot of people said knowledge, and I get it. I've been there. I haven't always been as gung-ho. It took me some time to get to a point where I felt comfortable enough to even come and talk to you guys about it. Because the reality is, a lot of people who invest, they're not comfortable enough to share it with you and tell you and show you and try to build the village. Everybody's not comfortable talking about money. That's a bad problem that we have. We've been told not to talk about money. Think about it. If you go to work right now, you have a peer, a co-worker that you're really cool with, you're not supposed to talk to them about money. because you know what I'm saying? Because if they make a little bit more than you, or you make a little bit less than them, then that can cause some friction, quote unquote, in the workplace. So we've been conditioned not to talk about money. And I would venture to say that many of us don't even talk about money to our very own, in our very own household. We don't really talk about money to our spouse. We don't really talk about money to our children. And we continue to see fight after fight about money. So what my goal is one, to help you improve your financial state, right? So that you can feel comfortable and confident talking about money. And that way we can change the conversation at the kitchen table. Change the conversation at the kitchen table. Think about, you know what I mean? Think about this, right? And here's what I went through. I was like, man, I want to get into this investing thing. I started reading about Warren Buffett and all these different people. And I was like, man, who can I talk to? Who do I know that invests, that is even willing to talk to me about it? And so that's why I'm making myself available. That's why I'm trying to make my network available to people who want to at least have a conversation. Because once you begin to talk about it and you start to become more familiar with it, then you no longer have the fear of it. So as we begin to talk about compound interest, I just want you to think about this. $1,000, right? If you had $1,000 today and you put it away, again, we start talking about 30, 40, 50 years from now. Now, the average rate of return in the stock market is 8%. So we put that $1,000 away and we say, hey, in 30 years, if that rate of return was 5%, how much would that $1,000 be worth in 30 years? Well, at 5%, it'll be $4,000. About $4,300. At 40 years, that same $1,000, without you having touched it, it's just growing. You put it in a place that you didn't see it, you forgot about it, whatever. It's now worth $7,000. And in 50 years, it'll be worth $11,000. Now, of course, you're probably like, man, that's, what is that? How does that compare with inflation? Well, hey, inflation, which means that the price of goods or your purchasing power, it only increases about 3% a year. So basically, every year that you don't invest, you're losing money. You're losing buying power. You can't buy the milk for the same price that you did a year ago. You can't buy the eggs for the same price that a year ago. You can't buy the gasoline for your car the same price that you could a year ago. You're losing buying power. The value of your dollar that you kept in your mattress, that you kept in your savings account, that you kept in your wallet, it can't buy as much stuff 10 years from now that it could today. At 7%, that same $1,000, if you never touched it for 30 years, that's at 7%, of course, it'll be worth about $7,500. 40 years, it'll be worth about $15,000. 50 years, that same $1,000 seed will be worth about $30,000. So again, I said the market, if you were just to invest in the market itself, and it's averaging 8% return, its historical average, through all the ups and all the downs, the good years, the bad years, 8%. You're talking about $1,000 50 years from now, then turn into $30,000. Now at 9%, this is just 1% above the average. In 30 years, at 9%, that $1,000 that you put into the ground, you put into a place that you couldn't see it, you forgot about it, you came back to it and said, whoa, where does money come from? Well, it's grown to $13,000 in 30 years. $31,000 in 40 years, $75,000 in 50 years. The power of compound interest. Now, it should be surprising that the longer the money has to sit, the more it'll be worth. But look at how quickly the years add up. At a 7% return, the money grows nearly 4 times when given another 20 years. So the longer that you're able to put that money away, and what we're talking about investing or investing in the market, or maybe finding a great company that you think will be around 40, 50 years from now, and it's just paying you dividends, it's just growing or whatever, $500, $1,000, whatever, you're saying that, hey, I value myself enough to pay for my future right now. I value myself enough. I think I'm going to live long enough that I'm willing to pay for my future right now. Now, here's the deal. Many people say I don't have the money to invest, and I tell you that's not true. Because the reality is you spend your money on so many other things. That's why you don't have the money. So you might have a discipline problem, but you don't have, typically more than likely, you don't have an income problem. Now, I'm not going to say everybody. There are some people who really, truly can't afford to invest. But more often than not, We choose what we do with our money. So if investing was important to you, you make time for it, and you make the money available for it. So the first concept is understanding compound interest, but then also we talked about making sure that you invest early and you invest often. So everybody put in the comments below, invest early and invest often. So put in the comments early and often, early and often. Early and often. See, because you can build upon it. You might say, hey, I started with $1,000, but I want to add something to it. I got a little bonus. I got my income tax return. I want to go ahead and put that. And I want to pay my future self right now. I want to do that right now. I'm getting $4,000 back. I'm gonna put $1,000 into my future or into my children's future. Early and often. So just think about this. You say, well, hey, not only am I going to think about myself 30 years from now, I'm going to think about my 5-year-old son 30 years from now. And if he walks through the same path that I went through and I turn 35, man, where do I want him to be when he turns 35? Maybe I set something aside for him that he didn't know about, that at 35 he has access to. That's what they call a trust, right? He can have access to it. You set the limits. You say, hey, at 35 years old, whatever this grows to be, he was 5 years old and he loved Netflix. We went ahead and put $1,000 in Netflix. We got our tax return back. We say, hey, we're going to invest in this because we believe our son is going to be great. And we're going to go ahead and pay for his future right now. So when he turns 35 and he's got 2 kids, he's got a family, he's down on his luck. Next thing you know, he got $35,000 coming to him. All because you set a seed away and you thought about your son 30 years from today. So piggybacking off the concept of compound interest is that continually investing will help build your wealth. So sure, investing $1,000 for 50 years before retirement is better than 30 years before, but investing $1,000 on a regular basis over time will put even more money on your side. So we're going to take a look and we're going to think about, okay, we got this consistent 7% return. Again, we said, 7% or 8% is about the average in the market, compounded monthly now. We're going to invest $100 per month when you turn 20, and we're going to do this per month so that by the time you're 70, you will have invested over $500,000. If you invest over $500 a month over the same time, you're a multi-millionaire. So we're going to think about investing $100 a month, a monthly investment of $100 a month. Now, you can take this and break this down and say, hey, maybe it's not $100 a month. Maybe it's $20 a month. Maybe it's $5 a month. Maybe it's $10 a month. You start from where you are. If it's only $1, start there. But I know that many of us, we get increases on our jobs. I know many of us, we get bonuses. I know many of us, we got tax returns. I know many of us are splurging and serving and just doing the things that we want to do, knowing that we can't afford to do them. So a $100 monthly investment with a 7% return, a compounded monthly, over 30 years, that $100 investment, we just did it every month, $100 automatic. Matter of fact, it's so automatic, we got it on automatic draft. We got it coming out of our paycheck and it's going right to some place we never even see it. See, here's what I learned. If you never see it, you don't spend it. So you got to set up a mechanism sometimes to trick yourself. That's what I had to do. When I wanted to start investing, I started with $50 and I said, you know what? I'm going to put $50 into this account every time I get paid. So every 2 weeks I had it coming out my account, coming out my check that I was getting at the time and going straight to the account. I never saw it. I could never spend it. I totally forgot that it was happening. I just know every time I look at my bank account, like, why I'm missing some money? But it didn't hurt me because I never saw it. So sometimes you got to automate yourself. So everybody put in the comments below right now, automation, right now, automatic. Sometimes you gotta put things on automatic. You got to trick yourself sometimes in order to get this money thing right. Because we haven't developed the habit to go onto our wallet and say, I'm not going to spend this $20. But if that $20 goes somewhere you never saw it, you good. So automatic. So yeah, pay yourself first, man. That's how you pay yourself first. So $100 invested every month, that month after month after month. After 30 years with a 7% return, that $100 would then be worth $121,000. After 40 years, that $100 that you did month after month, you were just consistent. Everybody put in the comments consistent. I think sometimes that's a problem as well. We're not consistent, right? We have no commitment to our consistency. $100 every month. 40 years at 7%, $260,000. 50 years, $500,000. Just investing $100 every month, year after year, month after month. You're going to keep going to work or whatever you're going to do, just $100. Yeah, go ahead. $100 went here, $100 went there every month. Getting a 7% return, $500,000. Now, say we were to bump that up and say it's $300 we're going to do month after month. Some people are in a position they can do that. You know, they blow $300 on a weekend, on one day, one Saturday night, $300 every month, month after month, month after month. After 30 years, 7% return, $365,000. 40 years, $787,000. 50 years, again, month after month, just automatic. Commitment to consistency, $1.6 million. Then we can bump it up. We can say, okay, what if I got this great job, my business is doing well, you know, I've got to the point where I want to take all these vacations and, you know what I'm saying, I just want to live this life. But I'm living this life for now, but I don't have anything for later. So $500, month after month, 7% return. 30 years, $500,000. 40 years, $1.3 million. 50 years, $2.7 million. Consistency, automatic, and a commitment to consistency. That's really all it takes in order to project, or in order to take your life in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years, take your financial life to a place that you've never seen it before. But the question is, will we be committed to our future self? Do we love ourselves enough to think about ourselves 30 years from now? See, many people haven't done it. Many people just simply have not thought about where they want to be financially 30 years from now. And for many of my peers, we're going to be retirement age in 30 years. And this is why this is so important that I'm talking about this right now, because you can't wait until you're 60 to start thinking about 65. You need to start thinking about it now. Who's having these conversations with you? Say, hey, you know, you just turned 35 today. Happy birthday. Have you thought about your retirement? You just turned 40. Happy birthday. Congratulations. God's been good to you. Have you thought about how you're going to live when you retire? If you haven't, what you're saying is, you know what? I don't love myself enough to think about what I want to do when I can no longer work. How I'm going to be able to buy food when I can no longer work. How I'm going to be able to keep this house over my head when I can I'm no longer physically able to work. So I'm putting myself in a position that I want to be dependent on someone else, whether it's the government or whether it's my family. I didn't have the foresight when I was 20, 25, 30 years old, 40 years old to think about my future self. So anyway, I'm not trying to get on anybody tonight. I'm just saying, if you are 30, I don't care what age you are, but I think I'm talking to some 30-year-olds tonight. I think I'm talking to some 35-year-olds, some 40-year-olds, some 45-year-olds right now. Have you thought about how you're going to take care of yourself when you're no longer physically able to work? That's what we're talking about tonight. So, how to get started investing? The idea is of saving a few $100s a month is possible for you, and the idea of having hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars by retirement, sounds good. There are some easy ways that you can actually start investing. So this is something that we're going to be talking about in our investing sessions. Everything that I talk about isn't just individual stock investing. There are ways that you can get started as soon as you decide that you're going to have a commitment to consistency, so that you can actually put money to work for you. And it's a challenge just getting you to think about putting money to work for you. So we got a couple of investing sessions coming up. I just dropped the new one. We're going to talk about FANG stocks. It's going to be Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. Netflix, again, crushed earnings today. Jumped up 10% in 1 hour. It's over the past 5 years, it's up at over 800%. Many of us have been watching Netflix for the past 5 years, but how many of us have profited from that which we support? We got to start changing the way that we operate and think so that we can actually make our money work for us. So if you want to, just make sure you check out www.ergj.net. That's going to be the place where all of the sessions are that are upcoming. We got that investment session coming up next Tuesday. We got the marijuana session coming up after that. I'm gonna start talking about ETFs, which is what many of you are probably gonna be looking to actually start at. The ETF, that's basically just investing in the market. I'm gonna show you guys how to do that. I can't do it all in one night. I'm providing different opportunities and sessions for you to learn based on what it is that you want to do. We got an options class coming up. We got Forex classes coming up, all for prices that you can afford if you are committed to your very own consistency. So anyway, this is ERGJ. Is lagging? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. I think I'm good. But you go to www.ergj.net. The class that I just set up today for next week. The sooner you get the ticket, the less expensive it is. I have this thing called the spirit of immediately. Those who jump on something, I think they deserve a discount. Those that want to wait till the day of, you know what? If they're still available, they're still available. So you got early bird pricing available, and I'm gonna start doing this for most of the stuff that I offer. Because there are people who are serious, and there's people who just, I forgot, and we got to start, we really got to start hitting it hard so we can make sure that we're able to continue to provide those things, these things for you guys, for you to be able to learn. And if you ask anybody that was there with us last night, we did our oil investment session last night. They walked away feeling like what they paid, they didn't pay enough. And that's just how I operate. Anybody that's been to any one of my classes, they can tell you that. That's just how I operate. It's not about the money for me. It's really, I charge because it's about the commitment. When you do things for free, what happens is a lot of people sign up, but they don't show up. But when there's some type of investment, right? If I'm gonna teach investing, I think it's important that we put it into practice. I don't think I should be teaching people about investing, teaching people about the value of money, but then they don't put any money up. So it's not like it's not some expensive thing. So at any rate, so www.ergj.net. You can check me out, my Facebook page, my business page. You probably want to follow that as well. That's where I put a lot of investing type of ideas, nuggets. I don't put it all on my personal page. That's at ERGJ Enterprises. Feel free to check that out, leave a review or whatever. And the more word of mouth that happens, the more that support that we get, then the more people we're able to help at the end of the day. So I got a lot of things that I want to do this year. The biggest thing I want to do is I want to start investment clubs for kids around the country, around, in these low income areas where they're not being taught what we should be taught. So they have the opportunity to understand something that's available to them, something they could actually do with their parents and get started right now. Last year, we had 2-year-olds, we had 5-year-olds that got their first stock. That, to me, there's nothing more fulfilling in what I've learned in this life than for me to be able to go and do that. So that is my goal this year. So anyway, I'm probably talking too much. but anyway, man, this is ERGJ from New Black Wall Street. Hopefully you guys got something out tonight. We'll be back in the morning with our pre-market info. You guys have a good night.
So we gave a lot of great tips, but it's time to go. Take the knowledge we shared, hope you use it and grow. We will see you all there in the next episode of the New Black Wall Street.